Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are doing day 12 of the Advent of Cyber. So today we're actually having a pretty fun one. It's defense in depth. What they're going to do is they're going to show you steps that you can do to layer your defense. And this is actually a pretty cool one. I think they did a decent job of it, and we're going to dive right into it. So hit that like button, hit that sub button, and let's go ahead and finish out this Advent calendar. So first things first, let's start the machine as we're talking about it. So once again, with the Advent, we know it's going to tell us, do we need an attack box? We do. It's right here. Do we need a VM? We started it up. So here we go. Okay. So guided walkthrough of the attack chain. So the nice thing about this one is they don't make us sit here and do the entire attack process because that's not relevant to this box or to learning what we're going to learn. And I think in the past, some of the previous boxes, they've done that where they've made us like waste a lot of time learning something that has nothing to do with what they're trying to teach. And so this one, they did a good job. So once this box starts up, we'll have Jenkins. So Jenkins is a pretty popular service. If you've never used it before, there's a box on TryHackMe that's called Jenkins, I believe, that you can actually do. And it's all about exploiting it. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to have a misconfiguration of Jenkins. We're going to take advantage of it, and then we're going to walk through the entire attack process of then escalating privileges, etc. And then we're going to show some things you can do to reverse those steps and harden your system at each step. So you would have stopped the attacker at each step. So that's the goal. So let's go ahead and hop into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this website, which will be the Jenkins, and it'll auto log us in, which obviously most of the time that wouldn't be normal. But if you misconfigure it, it could be. Now, while we're doing this, I'm going to cover the questions, obviously. It asks, the first question is, what is the default port for Jenkins? 8080. We know that because it just showed it to us. Right here, 8080. So now we're in this page. Well, all we got to do is go through a couple of things. We go to manage here, and we'll see if it runs. You can see down here under tools and actions you have a script console. So in this script console you can actually run your own Groovy scripts. Well, lucky for us, they've put a Groovy script here for us, because keep in mind the point of this is not to learn the attack, it's to learn the defense. So we'll go ahead and go here. And if you guys see, I have that extra in there that shouldn't be there. That's why I didn't copy that. Alright, we copied it, we pasted it. So just copy it over. And then it says, okay, you're attacking machine IP here. Well, here we need to set up a listener. So let's go ahead and set up a listener. So we'll say netcat lvnp. And the port that we want to use is 6996 because that's what the script uses. So we'll have that listening. All right, so now the whoops, I didn't even get the IP. So the IP we want to use is 10.10.170.200. So we'll go here, we'll say 10.10.170.200. So now when we run this, it's going to run that Groovy script. That Groovy script is giving us a reverse shell here, which looks like I messed something up. Yep, I've got a 2 in there. There it is. Now we run it. There we go. We got a connection. We hit LS, and look, we're on the machine. Great. We've skipped that part. Now we have to go through it. We have to find Tracy, right? Well, how do we do that? Well, they said check the usual folders, and we're going to go to cd opt scripts, right? We hit LS, and we got a backup script in there. Okay. So we say backup.sh. And we look, and look at that. There's Tracy's username, and her password is 13_1in_33. So that's the next question. Second question, what's her password? There you go. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open a new terminal. We'll open a tab. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say SSH, and we're going to say Tracy at 10.10. what's the IP here? It should be at the top. There it is. 147.40. Okay, did my screen freeze? There we go. 147.40. Okay, and then when it'll ask us if we want to continue, we say yes. And then the password is 13_1n_33. All right, that's what we just found. Perfect. We're in as Tracy. Now, here, when we get in as Tracy, if we're following along, so all I'm doing is following along with their steps, right? So we got their successful reverse shell. We logged in as Tracy. We're good. Okay, now getting the Tracy user to root. All we have to do here is type sudo l, which shows us what we can run as root. And we put the password in, 13_1n_33. Okay, and it says right here, we can run the following commands on Jenkins, all. So we can run anything as root or sudo. So we're gonna say sudo su. I wanna switch user to root. Look at that, we're root already. Okay, so this simulated an entire attack process, right? So now what we can do is we want to do the opposite. We want to reverse that. So how could we have prevented this whole attack? Well, first thing we would do, and I'm going to do this at the end. So the reason I'm pointing this out is I'm doing it at the end because right now we have root access. I don't want to lose root access. If I was doing this in a real situation, meaning I was actually the defender, I would go in and just use my admin account to remove this stuff. I wouldn't be doing it from a reverse shell. So that's where I think they messed up, because what they have you do is they have you delete Tracy from the sudoers list, which is what we're going to do at the end. And then you lose access to root here, and they want you to use this admin shell to do the rest. Admin shell is not a fully functional shell. So why would I get rid of a fully functional shell? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, what's the question? What's the root flag? Well, the root flag, we just say cd root. We say cat flag.txt. Boom. Easy root without DID. Perfect. Okay. What is the error message you get when you log in as Tracy and try sudo l? Well, we don't even have to actually do this. We are going to do it at the end, but you don't even have to do it because look, you get user Tracy is not allowed to run sudo on Jenkins. User Tracy may not run sudo on Jenkins. So they changed it a little bit, but we're going to go back and do that question at the end. So what's the SSH flag? Well, if we're following along, because we're skipping this part, okay, we're skipping the getting Tracy removed from the sudoers group. We're going to do that at the end so we can keep using this root shell. Now, the SSH, they want us to go look at the Etsy SSH_config. And they want us to do the SSHD config. And they want us to look at this, okay? And the first thing I notice when we're looking at it is if you're going through, all these are commented out, which is great. Okay, so we're looking, don't see anything crazy. Oh, there's one. Need to secure the shell. That's not a normal entry, right? So there's your flag. Need to secure the shell. So now that we know that, what we're going to do, to prevent this attack, what we would do is we'd go in here and we'd say, permit, password authentication. See how this says yes? We would change that and we'd say no, we don't want to allow you to do password authentication. So what we'll do is we'll say nano etsy ssh sshd config, right? And we're going to say, first off, comment out this include etsy ssh, because we don't want to include all these other ones. We don't want them to pull all this other data. So we're commenting that out. And then we're saying, did I pass it already? Password authentication. We're going to hit that. We're going to say, no, we do not want password authentication. We want you to be forced to use passwordless authentication, okay? So we say yes, save it. Now, keep in mind, these don't take effect until you restart. So that's why I don't mind doing this, because I would normally lose my SSH shell, but I have to restart it. So I haven't restarted the service, so I'm still logged in. I'm still good. Okay, and you can see it tells you, change your password authentication. We did that. We're good, okay? So we changed it to no. Now, strong password policies, obviously her password is very weak, so we would change that as well. And then we saw the SSH. Now the last thing they're going to have us do before I go back and do the first step is they want us to promote zero trust. So you notice when we logged into Jenkins, we didn't even have to log in. It just went straight and trusted us, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go look at the config file and see. Okay, we hit ls and you see all these files that Jenkins is using. Well, there's a config and there's a config.back. So let's look at cat config.xml first. Okay, looks like a basic config file. Let's see if we see anything crazy. Security realms, okay. Let's see. All right, so let's look at the one that why do they have a .back one, right? Like what's the backup one? Well, luckily for us, the backup one is the secured one. They just commented out the issues, and you'll see what I mean. So we'll say cat, and we'll say config.back, right? So it's a very similar one, but the difference is, if you look, they actually commented, here's a comment, this exclamation point dash dash, and authorization strategy, class Hudson, security full control once logged in. They commented that out. Deny anonymous read access, okay? And then full trust has no place in security. Well, look at that. There's our Jenkins flag. Full trust has no place. And then they have security realm class. So they just commented out the security. Okay, perfect. That's easy to fix. So what we're going to do is we're going to say nano. We're going to say config.xml.back. And we're going to go through. We're going to re-enable these, right? We want to get these back in place. So we just get rid of the comments. And then don't comment out the full trust has no security because that's just a flag. You don't need to comment anything there. All right. So then we hit Control X for exit, modify the buffer. Yes. Save it as the back file. Now we're going to remove the config file. And then we're going to copy the config.back and copy it to config.xml. So now this will become the new config file, right? Well, now if you look, so we've answered all the flags except for this one technically. So now if we actually go through, and remember we have to restart it. So we say system control restart Jenkins. Well, now we'll lose this shell, but when this restarts, we'll get rid of the managed script. We'll just have to go to the main page. When this restarts, look at that. Now it's a login page. So we removed that anonymous access. So now we have to actually log in. So right away, we got rid of the first attack vector. Then we got rid of SSH password logins. Now the third thing we need to get rid of is we need to get rid of Tracy being able to sudo to root. Okay. So the reason I did this at the end is so that you can see, so I can keep using the root shell if you remember. So all we're going to do for Tracy is go right here, sudo. We're going to say sudo delete user Tracy from the sudo group. Now, when we do this, you'll see removes her from the sudo group. Perfect. Well, we still have to exit, and then we have to exit again to see that we're not in the shell anymore. And then we try and log in as Tracy again, and we say 13_1in_33 because our password's weak. And then we say sudo L like we did before, and it's going to ask us again. And look at that. Sorry, user Tracy may not run on Jenkins. So there you go. There's your last. Sorry, user Tracy may not run on sudo on Jenkins. Now, if you follow the steps they have it in place, it will still work just fine. It's just more complicated because that shell that they have you do initially, this admin shell they have you take over, is not a fully interactive shell. I liked the fully interactive shell from the SSH, so I just stayed in there, did everything, and then went back and did that final step. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys like this. This was an easy Fox, but this showed you if an attack played out, how you can prevent each step. And I like that a lot because we did the initial attack vector, which was the Jenkins. We made it a login form, so it's not, you can't just go straight to it now. Then even if you did get in, you can't sudo directly to use root. And then from there, you can't SSH with just a password anymore. So really cool box, shows you a little defense in depth. I like it. Hopefully you guys do too. And thanks. Have a great day.